Good evening, Namibia. This is MTC Interact, the show that seeks to inform customers and stakeholders about pertinent MTC issues and concerns that affect our daily lives. Now, in this show, we are talking customer service, data pricing, shareholder concerns, and even new business strategies and realignment efforts. I'm your host, Tanya Doringo. Now, as you know, we can't possibly have a talk show without a panel. So allow me to introduce our panelists for this evening, Mr. Tinus Smith, who is the Chief Financial Officer as well as the Acting CEO. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Evening, Tanya, and evening to all the viewers.
Next up, we have Mr. Liki Erastus, who is our Chief Technology Officer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tanya. Evening, viewers.
I'm also joined by Mr. Alvin Kortke, who is our Chief Commercial Officer. Welcome to MTC Interact.
Thank you, Tanya, and good evening, 081 Nation.
To my left, I'm joined by Mr. Timmy Kanjo, who is our Chief Human Capital as well as Corporate Officer. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, and thanks for having us.
I'm also joined by Ms. Patience Kanalelo, who is the Chief Legal Officer. Welcome to MTC Interact.
Thank you. Good evening.
And viewers, welcome to you as well. After the break, we speak to the panelists and touch on some really hot topics. We are talking about data as well as why MTC took upon the 081 Everyone project. You don't want to miss this. Stay right with us.
MTC presents the 081 Everyone Fest, featuring performances by Davido, Runtown, Jab Razor, Heavy K, Gaza, Busiswa, Kalux, Sally Boss Madame, Otea, BDK, Adora, One Blood, Afroberries, KP Illis, and 4x4 Too Much Power. All this is taking place at Sam Nujoma Stadium on the 11th of August, 2018. Gates open at 11 a.m. and all this for $25. Yes, 25 Namibian dollars only. Tickets are available at web tickets at all Pick and Pay outlets nationwide. Save the date and see you there. All ticket sale proceeds will be donated to charity. MTC, make the connection.
Now, if you have just joined us, you are tuned into MTC Interact, an MTC initiative aimed at helping you get to know the business of the company. Did I mention that later on in the show, we will be opening the phone lines for all your questions that you have always wanted to ask MTC. That's right. So to get into the show, I'm going to speak to the gentleman right next to me, Mr. Alvin. Let's talk a bit about the elephant in the room, data. Now, we know that data has been a hot topic throughout Southern Africa, and by virtue of that has slipped into Namibia. Let's talk a bit about how data prices in Namibia compare regionally.
Thank you, Tanya. I think the most important thing that you need to really understand first is that there's a number of factors that impact the pricing of data.
Okay.
Size of the market, number of competitors, the investment required, regulatory, spectrum fees, etc. Okay. These all have a major contribution towards how the product is priced. If we look at data across Africa in terms of pricing, there's a huge disparity between the price, ranging from about $1 US, 130, up to about $30 per gigabyte.
Wow.
Closer to home, if we look in Namibia, we are very, I believe, blessed to have such cheap prices in Namibia. Yeah. Not that everybody thinks so.
Not quite, yeah.
If we look at the pricing, we've just launched recently our top-up bundles for our Aware, for our postpaid customers. And if you look at for example, the Aware Gig, with the 2 additional gigabytes of data that you get, that's $1.30 per gigabyte. So it's still very, very affordable.
Jeez. And this is US dollars that we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm
right?
just comparing it to compare with the rest of Africa. Right. And then on the, as an example, on the Select side, the XL package, you can top up with 12 gigabytes of data there, and that's going to cost you around $1.53 per gigabyte. So very far from the $30 that some people are paying. Yeah. Closer to Namibia, South Africa, where they pay anything from $4 a gigabyte up to $12 a gigabyte. So I think we are sitting very pretty in Namibia.
Yeah. Now, speaking about the context of Namibia, I know that people are worried about where the data is going. So let's talk a bit about how MTC, for example, compares in terms of their data prices to local competitors.
I think basically we are very well priced compared to the competition. Okay. If you look at, as I said earlier, if you look at some of the products that we're putting to the market, we are very competitive when it comes to data pricing.
Yeah. All right. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning of our discussion. We will now go on a short ad break and be right back.
MTC presents the 081 Everyone Fest, featuring performances by Davido, Runtown, Job Razor, Heavy K, Gaza, Busiswa, Kalux, Sally Boss Madam, Otea, BDK, Adora, One Blood, Afro Berries, KP Illis, and 4x4 Too Much Power. All this is taking place at Sam Nujoma Stadium on the 11th of August, 2018. Gates open at 11 a.m. and all this for $25. Yes, 25 Namibian dollars only. Tickets are available at web tickets at all Pick and Pay outlets nationwide. Save the date and see you there. All ticket sale proceeds will be donated to charity. MTC, make the connection.
Now, if you have just joined us, this is the first ever MTC Interact, and we decided to just dive right into it and speak about data. I was still speaking to Mr. Alvin. Let's talk a bit about fiber. I think that's one of the other biggest things that has people talking. So first and foremost, what is this FTTX that people keep talking about?
FTTX is basically fiber to the X. So it could be fiber to the home, fiber to the office, fiber to the base station.
Okay.
So it's just an acronym that we use in the industry today.
Okay, so I'm good when I say fiber?
Yes, you are.
All right. So what are the plans for MTC? Does MTC have any plans to bring in fiber? What will these products look like? What will these services look like for the average Joe?
I don't want to give too much away, but yes, most certainly fiber is definitely part of the MTC strategy. It's basically, without fiber, we won't be able to future-proof our business.
Okay.
So fiber is very important in the MTC strategy.
Yep.
It is coming very soon.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away.
Absolutely.
But no, for sure that fiber is part and parcel of future-proofing MTC going forward.
And Alvin, do you think that the average Namibian knows about fiber and the importance of it, especially if we're trying to get into the digital age and, you know, new world and that sort of thing?
No, I definitely believe the Namibian public is very cognizant of fiber.
Okay.
I think fiber is not something new.
Absolutely.
It's something that has been talked about for a very long time.
Okay.
It's just a different way of connecting, but it's a more resilient, more speed, more quality of service, and it's a very superior product.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it's a product that will definitely be rolled out in Namibia. And as I said previously, it's something that we need to deploy in order to future-proof our business for the next few years going forward.
All right. I'd like to move on to this side, Ms. Patience. Let's talk contracts. Now, I know that a lot of customers that are on the contract packages are really, really happy with the service, especially when we call in. People are answering our calls finally, and, you know, there's movement in that department. Let's talk a bit about the things that people are not happy about. So things like when I want to terminate my contract and I haven't accessed some of the services, what is happening there?
Well, Tanya, essentially a contract is a meeting of minds, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We promise you something, you promise to pay us.
Okay.
And our promise to you is that we're going to give you the service for 24 months.
Okay.
You promise, obviously, to use the services at a payment for the 24 months. The contracts do not allow for termination because of the way we've worked our packages.
Yeah.
After the 24 months, you can terminate the contract on 30 days' notice.
Okay, so then in that regard, what then happens if I am on contract, but I'm not accessing the service? I'm still being billed for them, am I not?
Yes.
Okay.
You're being billed for the entire 24 months that you are in contract. Again, meeting of minds. You've promised to use our services for 24 months. We've promised to give you the service at a payment.
Yeah.
So whether you've actually used the service is not part of it's not what we've contracted on.
Okay. Yes. Do we see the numbers dropping? Do people move out of contract based on that premise?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
As you've said, they're quite happy.
All right, that is all that we have for this segment, but do make sure that you stick around with us. Did I also mention that we will open the telephone lines and we will be taking up all your questions. This is MTC Interact, as we have mentioned. If you have just joined us, welcome to the show. You are a few minutes late, but that doesn't mean that you won't get some of the really good stuff that we're talking about tonight, especially now that I'm moving on to Mr. Leakey. Now, you are the technology expert on our panel this evening. No pressure. Mr. Leakey, I would want to find out about 4.5G. Now, this is something that people are talking about. We've heard that there was 4G. So let's talk a bit about what's 4.5G and what are MTC's plans when it comes to 4.5G.
It is important for MTC to continue improving the services that we give to our clients.
Okay.
Now, we achieve this through continuous investment in our network and our technologies.
Okay.
Now, the recent investment that we did was to upgrade some 4G sites to 4.5G. Now, this might sound like a simple change, but basically what it means in terms of technology, it means we are promising super fast speed.
Okay.
This is now actually preparing some of our sites for Internet of Things, which is now the new connected world, whereby you will have devices, sensors, machines connected.
Yep.
And this will also boost the capacity of our network to efficiently and effectively be able to give a throughput of 1 gigabit per second. I'm using that terminology, but what it means in layman is that it will be super fast.
Oh, okay. We like super fast. We can do it super fast. Okay.
Yeah. And it is also, I'm sure that we are all aware of the 5G technology that everyone is hyping about.
Okay.
So as an innovating company, it is also putting us in the forefront to be ready for 5G.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, we speak about promises and we speak about 081 everyone, but we also know that 4G hasn't been implemented in all the towns. Talk to us a bit about that, Leakey, and don't you think that it's a bit premature to be looking at 4.5G when 4G hasn't been implemented in all the towns?
For us as MTC, it is important that we give communication services to all the Namibians.
Okay.
However, how we deploy this is driven by the service requirements.
All right, okay. Do you want to explain that a bit?
Yes. We have deployed 4G in some towns, but then we have some small towers where we didn't deploy 4G because we don't have the uptake of 4G devices yet.
Okay.
But if you look at a city like Windhoek, for example, we have a lot of 4G phones, we have a lot of 4G routers.
Okay.
And even though we have 2 layers of 4G, we are not keeping up with the need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So hence, in order for us to boost our capacity and to increase our capacity, there was a need to start upgrading 4G in Windhoek at least to 4.5G.
All right. Okay. Now, I'm very, very curious, and I think everyone else who is watching wants to know how and what are we doing in order to improve the user's experience. I think ultimately that's one of the things that MTC would like to know. So talk to us a bit about that, Leakey.
Yeah, not that I want to boost, but it is a known fact that the majority of the communication traffic is on the MTC network.
Okay.
Now, this has brought undeniable challenges towards us as a mobile operator or as a service provider. Now, we don't really take them as challenges. We take them as activities that are encouraging us to learn
All right.
and to help us improve in our service delivery. Now, we have two aspects to this. In an urban area, for example in Windhoek,
Okay.
when someone talks about experience, user experience, then what they talk about is the speed, for
Right.
example.
Yeah, it's different context. Yes, yes.
They will always complain about speed and all that. While in rural, it is actually just the connectivity.
We just want to get on the phone and talk.
Yeah. So that's why it was important for us as MTC to at least roll out 4G to most of the urban towns. And what we are busy doing in parallel with that is that we are upgrading 2G to 3G across the whole country. So what we recently did as well, we enabled LTE, both for prepaid and postpaid.
For the layman's people.
LTE is now 4G services,
all right.
or 4G capabilities.
Okay.
Yeah, and as well as the 081 Everyone is part of our investment towards improving the user experience.
All right. Thank you, Like. And I think anyone on this panel can take this. So how do we create the balance between those that are in Windhoek getting absolutely super fast internet, like you say, and then those that are in the rural areas? How do we balance that best experience? Anyone can take it?
I think that balance is created with, it's embedded in the 081 Everyone project.
Okay. Tell us a bit about that.
Where we're going to roll out around 524 base stations across the country.
Okay.
And there we're looking at in urban areas where we will do certain improvements to increase capacity and speed, whereas some people in rural areas just want to be connected.
Yep.
So we're looking at all those needs in terms of connectivity versus what the other demands are. Liki has just alluded that obviously there's different demands for different users. And that's how we've split the project, to make sure that there's connectivity, that as a starting point everybody is connected.
Yeah.
Because we can't be looking at 4.5G, 5G in urban areas
and
while there are people who are not even connected.
Yes, yes.
So that is what the 081 Everyone project is about. And I think we'll probably, speaking under correction, become one of the first countries in the world where we can speak about 100% connectivity.
Yeah. Do you agree? Absolutely. Now you wanted to add, please.
To add to that,
yes.
On the 081 Everyone project, there was a lot of changes in not our industry but in the country, where your financial institutions is doing away with checks, and that those people in those areas need connectivity and the correct connectivity. Link what my colleague Licky said is that we will roll out 3G, is that those people can use the network and the connectivity to do their banking transactions as well, because that was quite a outcry when the bank said that they will, by the end of 2017,
not be accepting checks anymore.
And if you don't have the connectivity, then how do you do the normal payments? Because in the past, and let's call it in the older days, you receive the invoice via the mail, you write the check and you mail it back.
It's paid, yeah.
And then you assume that's paid. But nowadays you not even receive your invoices via mail anymore. You receive it electronically.
Also true.
And you make deals electronically, because certain people don't dispatch goods if you not confirm.
Yeah.
And how do you confirm if you don't have connectivity? So for us it's very important as a company to support the whole industry and the economy, that we can achieve a global project like 2030 and Harambee, and those that we bring all the people within the mainstream of the economy, and that they can have access and that they can participate.
Yeah. Now we know that you are dying to get a hold of us, and our telephone lines are officially open. Please feel free to give us a call on 061 291 3339. That's 061 291 3339. While we wait for your calls, we will have a look at some of the questions that have been posted on MTC's various social media platforms. Are you ready for this? So the first question we're going to be looking at is from Simon Albin. I think charging VAT on a recharge voucher is robbing us, MTC. Why do you charge VAT, and can you please just stop it?
Simon, we wish we could. But the directive to charge VAT comes from the receiver of revenue. and we cannot not follow the obligation. The monies that we deduct from the VAT or from the airtime is paid to the receiver of revenue and not for MTC's benefit.
All right. Now we'll be taking up a few more questions, and I'll just roll the questions as they go, and then we can decide who amongst our panel discusses those questions. Question number 2 is from Gerson Jerry. Is it not possible for MTC to at least try and come up with a way of connecting? I think we lost that one, so let's move on to the next one. This is from Citizen. Oh, there we have it back. Perfect. Converting these free SMSs that are forever just accumulating on our phone balances to data. And this can be optional and only applies to those that are willing. Now, I know when I was younger, MTC had these free SMSs. I'm assuming that they're still there, right? So people want to know, are we able to convert these to data? But before we get into that question, please hold on to that. We do have a caller. Caller, you are live. Welcome to MTC Interact. Hi, caller.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you, ma'am?
I'm very well. Welcome to MTC Interact.
Thank you.
Please do ask us your question.
My question is, like, I registered this our service,
Okay.
like our price.
Continue.
I registered this our service, but the problem is, I got a problem. You put service and the service is on. Later on, like for example, I put my credit on again. And the moment the service is on, that credit is still going off. How this thing happen now?
Okay, so your question is related to signing up for Aware and how that data quickly goes. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'd like to open that to our panel. Licky, would you like to take that? Licky or Alvin, I think, can take that for us.
I'll take it.
There we go.
All right. I think one of the main factors why our customers think that we're taking their data and their data expires so quickly.
I've heard chowing data. That's the term that's on the streets here.
Fair enough. Why are we chowing
Why are you
data?
chowing the data?
Yeah. There's a number of reasons why our customers' data is consumed.
Okay.
These reasons vary from apps running in the background.
Okay. What is that? What is that?
So when you have a smartphone and you have numerous apps, so let's say, for example, you have Facebook open, you have Twitter open, you have multiple apps. They are running in the background. They are consuming data.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Secondly, another example could be that your apps also need to be updated on a regular basis.
Right.
So software update, let's call it like that to put it simpler. You have a setting on your phone where you allow your apps to update automatically. Now, if customers turn that off, those apps don't update automatically. So if you have, let's say, a dozen or 2 dozen apps on your smartphone, at some point in time, those apps are going to be constantly updating new features of the apps, etc. And those are all eating data. So if you switch that off and you only have your phone switched on to do that when you're in a Wi-Fi area, then you would not experience your credit or your data being charged, so to speak. Another good example as well is a lot of folks take photographs and then they send them off to their friends.
Okay.
But sometimes they set the resolution of those photographs to the highest potential resolution. So when you're sending those photos, it's really consuming a lot of data. So if the resolution was downgraded to, let's say, the most basic resolution, you'll find the difference in the consumption of the data quite staggering. So there's a lot of reasons why data is consumed and thought to be stolen when it actually really isn't.
Now,
look Tanya,
yes, Tim.
It's, you know, we are a telecommunications company, and what we've very quickly realized that it's not enough for us to know these things and not to communicate it to our customers.
That's what I was going to get to, yes.
Because at the end of the day, they sit with the complaints, and we have a billing system that charges them correctly. They continue to sit there unhappy, and we're charging them.
Yeah.
So what we have now begun doing is to have a more proactive approach. Where
what does this look like?
Where we have taken. We're going to go on a whole campaign where we're going to educate our customers. We have looked at almost every data saving tip, which we are going to be rolling out and sharing with our customers on a weekly basis in the newspapers, on different platforms.
Tim, we have a caller, so I'm going to have to cut you a bit short. We have Franz on the line. Franz, how are you? Please do ask us your question.
Yes, how are you?
Hi, Franz.
Okay, I'm fine.
Good, good. That's good to know.
Okay, my question here only to ask about the SMS.
SMSs, all right. Yes?
Yeah. Why maybe NTC come up to, you can able to transfer the SMS?
Okay, what would you like to transfer the SMSs to? Would you like to elaborate on that question, Franz?
No. I'm referring about other people have a lot of SMS, but you cannot transfer it to someone.
So like you transfer airtime. Why are we not transferring SMSs? Who would like to take that for us?
Look, the most common request we have gotten so far is why so many SMSs? Why can't we transfer those SMSs? What I can assure our customers is that we are listening.
Okay.
We are aware of their need to have something else as opposed to SMSs. Times, we also realize that times are changing. Back in the days, a lot of SMSs might have been the appropriate thing to give.
Yes.
But there's a lot of internal discussions happening between the team where we're saying how do we meet our customers halfway?
Okay.
And maybe not halfway, all the way.
All the way sounds good. Yeah.
So we are listening.
Yeah.
And we're going to be introducing quite a few changes in terms of meeting their demands.
Yeah. Can the same be said then about the data transferring the data? I just want to know from a technical point of view, is this even possible? Because sometimes our requests can be quite aspirational. So let's talk a bit from a technical side of things. I know it still needs a conversation, but is that possible to transfer SMSs to someone else, to convert your SMSs to data? I know we're really pushing it right now.
Look, everything is technically possible.
Okay,
and if
that's
it's not possible, we are going to make it possible in the interest of our customers because they are our ultimate shareholders.
Yes.
We're going to do everything for them. So yes, we're looking at how we can adjust systems and make sure that we're able to meet their demands, and those discussions are ongoing. All I can say to our customers is that we're listening and that we're making the required changes.
And if they're not listening, you can certainly give us a call like our next caller has done. Caller, you are live.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm right. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Please do ask us your question.
Okay, so it was a very good presentation now when you said, if I go on contract, I'm agreeing to paying for a service.
Okay.
And you're agreeing to, or you're promising to render a service to me, a certain service to me. There was a time when I actually signed up, and I signed up for a smart share contract, and for the first 3 months it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I could go on the internet and I could surf, I could stream as much as possible. But after those 3 months, there was just a whole frustration of either I'm disconnected all the time, but yet here I am still paying for the full fees for a service which I was not getting a quality. I was just not getting the promises that I was told.
Okay.
You tell me that I'm supposed to get a speed of 4 megabits per second.
Okay.
And whenever I'm testing it, I get like below a certain level, like 0.1 or 1 megabit per second.
Okay, thank you, caller. I'll just give this to Patience. So the question is on the quality of the actual service that we are getting, irrespective of the contract that's in place. Patience?
Well, at the end of the day, again, it's a promise we've made, and we've told you we'll give you data speeds up to a certain level.
Okay.
If we at any stage are not meeting the promise that we've given to you, you may then give complaints to through our call center, through our emails, through social media, and then we'll rectify it. But the obligation to
say if anything is wrong, is it on the customer?
No. The obligation is on both sides.
Okay.
We're here to give you the service. You're there to pay for it. If at any time we're not delivering the service or meeting our promise, we'll correct it.
Okay. Now, I want to go to social media just before I come back to you, Patience. We do have another submission by on our social media platforms, and this one is from Citizen Polis. Hi, Citizen. A citizen wants to know why data that you bought with our money gets expired. So I used my money to purchase this data. Why is it expiring? can I go to my right-hand side? Licky, would you like to take this one for us?
This is basically to do with the way that we have designed our packages.
Okay.
And this will influence the way the packages are currently designed.
Let me jump in there, Licky.
Yeah. Yep.
So packages, generally, if you look at data packages globally, you'll notice that operators are giving bundles with a shorter validity period, but with lots of data in there for a shorter period of time.
All right.
So the longer the period of the data, obviously the more expensive it becomes.
Okay.
So everything needs to have an expiry date at some point in time.
Yep.
So when we create and design our packages, you'll see, for example, a Aware gig. You get a gig of data for $32. However, if you go and buy a gig data bundle, it's a lot more expensive. But that Aware bundle only lasts 7 days.
Okay.
Whereas the normal data bundle lasts 60 days.
Okay.
So it's very relevant in terms of the validity period of the bundle in comparison to the pricing.
Okay. We will go back to, or would you like to add on?
In a more layman's term, pricing is based on both based on value and time.
Okay.
The longer time you have, the more expensive it will be. So that's why rollover would have a different pricing.
Okay. And that's the same for all the packages currently at MTC? Yes?
Correct.
Tanya, and I think what is important is to add to that is that the customer got a choice. So when they buy a package, obviously it's declared up front and it's made known this is the price for that number of data for that period.
Yeah.
And so the customer got the choice, and for us is to serving the customer, the one that for a short period need a lot of data, or those that need for a longer period.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason that we offer different packages as well.
Now I'm going to open this to the panel. It's also just a comment and question I want to raise. So in different countries we have bundles for your Twitter, for example. We have bundles for Facebook. Is that something that MTC has incorporated or looks to incorporating? Because I think when it comes to data, there's some that just want to go on Facebook. So can I just have data for Facebook? Let's talk a bit about that and the possibilities.
Well, if you look at some of our packages that we currently offer, we do include social media.
Okay. As a whole.
Inside the package, yes. So you'll see, for example, some of our packages have X amount of data, and then on top of that, we have on top of that is included X amount of data for social media. And that could be Facebook, it could be whatever the social media is that we attach to that. Even on the postpaid side, the postpaid customers also have access to, I think, 6 or 7 different social media platforms, and we've included that in the package. So it all depends on how and how we structure the packaging, and also in terms of our billing systems and our technology capabilities in terms of how do we bill for that, how are we able to structure packages and bill for them accordingly. Yep. So we do currently offer social media in our bundles, both postpaid and prepaid.
All right. Thank you, Alvin. Speaking about social media, we still have one more question from social media. For those that do not know, we opened the social media line so that people can ask their questions to MTC, and these were some of the questions that were posed. The next one we have is from Helena Nambo, who is asking, why can't you convert the free SMSs to credit? Or can someone please just answer? Why can't we convert? So I think that they want to further emphasize on the possibilities of the conversion, of which we have already touched on to. Yes, I'm going to go to Tinas and speak a bit about the rumors. So there are rumors about MTC shares and those being put on the market. Do you want to clarify what is the current status of that rumor?
Thank you. There's public knowledge regarding certain ads that was in the newspapers.
Okay.
We ourselves, MTC, as well as our shareholder MPTH, search for service providers.
Yep.
So I can at this point in time say that that's ongoing. The listing process is ongoing.
All right. And just as you ended that, we have another caller. People are calling and wanting to ask MTC questions. Caller, you are live. Welcome to MTC Interact.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Please do share your question.
I would like to ask the board, is it possible if you guys may come up with a bundle or data bundle that can last for a month, because the 7-day thing is really, I can say, tiring at times, but if it were possible for you guys to just make us something for a month, we would appreciate that.
Okay. Now, Alvin touched on it a bit. Do you want to just re-emphasize what we're talking about in terms of the pricing, Alvin?
So we do have bundles that are valid actually more than a month, which is our normal data bundles, which are valid for 60 days. Okay. So our caller is more than welcome. If they don't want to take a 7-day, I'm assuming that she's unaware. If she wants to take a data bundle that's going to last at least 60 days, we have a data bundle product that serves those needs.
I think the suggestion is more, can we increase our way to more than 7 days?
To more than 7 days. Is that a possibility?
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Is that a possibility? Yeah.
The so-called away 1 month.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Everything is possible, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, we took onto the streets to hear what the average Namibian and Windhoek resident thinks about MTC. These were very, very interesting. So, let's have a look.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I hear MTC's network and connection.
All about communication.
It is the one area of communication.
Somehow communication. You have to communicate with either your community or to your family.
We just make the connection.
And when the network is not working, that's the worst thing that we get from MTC.
I don't like it when MTC eats up our data.
They're running out of data, which is very quick. So you just recharge, in the next moment you don't know what happened to the data, but you just don't have it.
When the service is down or you don't have any internet access, internet is slow, network is not working.
Another bad thing is the coverage shortage, especially in the south. When you drive from Marintal to Malde, that road does not have proper coverage.
When you buy data bundles, it goes from like $20 and then the next option is like $80. When you only have 50, that's very frustrating.
Wherever I'm traveling, I'm able to communicate.
The call center agents, they're quite effective and resourceful.
That our data prices aren't like very bad, because I lived a year in South Africa and theirs was so expensive, and MTC's data price isn't that expensive.
Now, if you've just joined us, you are watching MTC Interact, the show that allows you, the viewers, to have a chat to those that are working at MTC and those that are actually making decisions at MTC. We had a look at some of the comments of the residents in Windhoek. Let's talk a bit about that. How did that make you feel, hearing some of the really good and some of the really bad?
Yeah, I think overall there's a lot of outcry about connectivity, speed, which are issues that are top of our priority list. I was very excited to hear the lady talk about comparing Namibian data prices, or rather MTC data prices to South Africa.
Yeah.
And that is actually true. I think we just need to find a way how we can educate our customers how to save data.
Yeah.
But please, you speak to South Africans that come here, and they will tell you how incredibly cheap our data prices are compared to South Africa.
Right.
But it doesn't mean we should stop there.
We do have a caller just before you go. Onesmus, are you still with us? Onesmus, welcome to MTC Interact.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, I'm calling on the query of the aware packages.
The aware packages, okay. Please do ask us your question.
When a customer registers for aware, they last for 7 days or a week.
Okay.
My concern is I might register today and then I finish my minutes tomorrow and my data depleted.
Yeah.
And then I have to wait for 7 days for my expiry. Can you not get the option to terminate and re-register again, of course considering the decency?
Yeah. So Onesmus, you want to terminate after you've already used the data?
Yes, and then re-register again without waiting for 7 days.
I see. All right, so again, we're going back to the aware and the 7 days. You'll take that again?
Yeah.
All right.
No, I think this is something that we've been hearing for a while now from our customers, that is there any way that I can take a new aware if my 7 days has not expired, but yet all my data, my voice and my SMS has expired.
Yeah.
This is something we're paying some serious attention to. We're looking at how do we circumvent that so that customers don't have to wait 7 days before they can take another package. So this is something that we are extremely focused on at the moment, and something that we want to address, because we've heard this time and time again now, and it's now not
time
just
to listen now.
Exactly, not just a few comments out there. Now it's becoming more pronounced, and we're paying attention to those comments, and that's something that we are currently looking at addressing.
Okay, I want to throw this to patients. How different is it then? I would assume that the 7 day would technically also be a contract per se. How is that different, and from a legal perspective, how would you comment to that?
Tanya, you read my mind. You've bought for 7 days. Okay. We've promised you this package for 7 days.
So this is the legal speak.
We have
definitely.
I'm sorry, the lawyer in me. Again, we had a meeting of minds there. You said you will use this for a period of 7 days. Okay. And we go back to the pricing. The pricing is based on that offering for the 7 days. If you are able to buy another one for 7 days, the whole package will have to be relooked at. And as Alvin is explaining it now, we are in the process of looking at it, but it shouldn't be expected that it will be the same offering.
I see. Okay. Now we do have another caller on the line, and we're hoping that this is the last caller. Unfortunately, we only have an hour for this show, and I think we should make it 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. But caller, you are live. Welcome to MTC Interact.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. I'm very well, thank you. And yourself, sir?
I'm fine.
That's good.
Yeah, I want to ask about NTC, our number 081.
Okay.
When are we going to register for a number that, okay, this number 081, for this number is belong to Tanganda, because I can't see the use of every day you see a person who is already even more than 10 SIM cards, just changing from one to another, from one to another.
Yeah.
I suggesting that why NTC cannot inform people, all people who are using the custom NTC, that please, as from where we must come and register our number, take our ID there. As soon as when I go there to buy another SIM card, they must ask an ID. So that if I was already have the number, they will ask a valid reason why I'm changing. I don't want the other number. What can happen? Because at this side, we can also cut off this criminal and whatsoever activity in our society.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. So this sounds to me like RICA in South Africa, for example. Patients, can I hand that over to you? Or anyone else actually on the panel?
The law on SIM registration is imminent. However, as MTC, we took a proactive role in prompting our customers to register their SIM cards. You may at any mobile home right now register your SIM card, except for that every time you want to do a SIM swap or your handset has changed and you want a smaller one, you're also required to then register it. Or you will need, like the caller just mentioned, all you will need is your ID. And a declaration stating that this is indeed your SIM card. So yes, we welcome that. It obviously it protects our customers, it protects ourselves.
Yes.
There's quite a bit of fraud going on there, and if a SIM card is registered,
the safety aspect of things that come along with that.
At the moment, it's still voluntary because we've taken a proactive approach. But at some point, it will become imminent law that that all telecommunications operators have to register their customers.
Yeah. And what are some of the measures that you're willing to take, for example, to ensure that that happens? Are you cutting us off?
No, we will not cut you off. We'll give at the time. When the law comes into place, we will give you enough notice. And we will have a process of SIM swapping and SIM registration. We will have enough stations everywhere to make sure that all SIMs are registered. We obviously do want to make the number of people who will have to prompt less. So if you can, go to any mobile home right now and register your SIM card.
All right. Now, yes, please.
If I may, we really want to encourage the customers to register, because a lot of financial institutions use our SIM number as a verification process on top of their normal verification process. As patients said, and Tim touched on that as well, is that there is fraud currently ongoing on that, and that's the reason that we really encourage our people and customers in the, to register the SIM, because that's to their benefit as well. Because of the financial institutions that use that SIM number for verification process and notification process as well.
Okay. Now I want to get into Tim. Let's talk a bit about MTC being known as this arrogant brand and this perception that people have of MTC. Where do you think this perception is coming from, and what is your take on this perception?
Look, that perception could come from anywhere.
Yeah.
And it is our responsibility to find out where the perception comes from.
Okay.
We have long realized that we need to stop protecting ourselves and be defensive about people's perceptions about us.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, those are our customers. So we basically have two choices. We can either, pull some PR stunts and have a long list of reasons why we think we're not defensive.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the customer will still think that we are arrogant. Or we could take a different approach and say, can we understand why you feel that we are arrogant? And I think that's the approach that we have now taken, where we sit the customer down and understand why they think that we are arrogant, so that we can engage them and change their perception.
Yeah. But why do you think that there is this perception? I want to get into that.
Look, there's
from your point of view.
There's various reasons. I sometimes hear a lot of people call us because you guys think you're a monopoly, because you guys think you're big, you have a lot of money, because you guys think you can just throw money around. And those perceptions are real from the perspective of the customer. And that's what we need to appreciate. And we need to change that perception.
Yep. I'd like to move again to Alvin. I really like this corner. Let's talk a bit about the prepaid LTE that was recently launched. What are the results on that campaign and that project?
Tanya, it's been extremely successful.
Okay.
Obviously, I can't give too much information in terms of numbers.
You never want to give me information, Alvin.
I have to protect the business. Just kidding. We've seen double-digit growth in the amount of customers that have migrated from 3G to LTE now. We've seen that obviously in the massive uptake in traffic that's going through our LTE network, which clearly indicates to us that the uptake has been quite successful.
Yeah. Okay. Now we all know, and I'm going to come back to you, Tim, we all know that MTN is coming into the country and is already here, actually. What is MTC doing about that, considering that this is such a big brand? Talk to us a bit about that and competition all throughout.
Well, MTC is a much bigger and a homegrown brand.
Okay.
That is one thing we all need to appreciate. MTC has been Namibia's most successful story when it comes to homegrown companies.
Yep.
We take competition very seriously. We're not going to be arrogant and downplay the fact that they are a big brand. But there's one thing that we are going to do very well, and that is concentrate on our customers, because nobody can take a happy customer away from you. So yes, we welcome competition. It's good for the market, but we are solely focused on our customers and making sure that we meet their demands. We give them good products and services, good speed, reliable service, fiber, good infrastructure, and all the things that we should.
Yeah.
And sticking to our promise, which is our customer service promise, our vision and mission, and no competition can take that away from you.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for that, Tim. Now, for our last question, I'd like you, Tinas, to give a bash at this. Now, we know that every time we drive around, we see these massive MTC towers. What is MTC doing in order to contribute to the economy, especially for the towns where we have these towers that have been pitched?
It's a known factor worldwide where you have network that you see the economy grow.
Yeah.
So what we experience is we erect a tower that all of a sudden there's activity. It's activity around that community that they can get connect. that information flow there. Where we move now into the farming areas is that market information is available. Information is available where they can take the products to and what prices they can get, and they can do proper planning. What is also available is the distribution network of our product, the airtime product, where people in those areas can start to add some revenue stream to their current business or start a business to distributing the airtime thereof. So what we're looking at is not only to erect the tower, but it will be very interesting how the development around the tower, and we saw with the new towers that we switch on, that activity around the tower start getting action.
All right. Now, if you are wondering how you can also join in on the conversation, do make sure that you ask us your questions and you hashtag AskMTC. We will be going into a short commercial break before we come back, and we have to say good night to you for this evening. But before that, let's go to the commercial break. Now, before we leave for this evening, there were so many questions that we are unfortunately not able to get to. But I'd like to know what happens to the rest of the questions that people asked that weren't answered. Tim, please.
Yeah, MTC Interact obviously takes place on a quarterly basis, meaning 4 times per year. Like you rightly said, we had over 600 social media questions. We need to do justice to those questions. So what we'll do is take time and answer each and every of those questions, even though the question is repeated in a certain way. We'll take time, answer each and all of them, and post them so that everybody gets to get an answer to their question.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me on MTC Interact this evening. Ladies and gentlemen and panel viewers, this has been MTC Interact. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in to NBC One. A big thank you to those that interacted with us. That was on our social media. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for tonight, but be sure to catch us again quarterly here on NBC One. Until then, it has been great. I'm your host, Tanya Doringo. Good night, Namibia.